welcome back to another episode of Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, or Woulda, Shoulda, Coulda, however you want to say it. This week we're going to go over the Fox episode, Fox number 10. UFC Fox?
UFC on Fox 10.
She'll talk. Say it.
UFC on Fox 10.
There we go. Okay, first fight we're going to talk about is the Caceres versus Sergio Pettis. At the end of the fight, Sergio got finished. He was exhausted, but he got finished with the rear naked choke. So, I will show how he could have possibly defended this rear naked choke. When Alex put the choke in, he went old school, WWF, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hulkamania Run Wild, with his hands over. So yeah, it's tough. He's putting his forearm through the neck. Sarah, I'm in the ghetto. Okay, ghetto bird, no. Okay, so this is tight. He's pinning it, squeezing. Yeah, you can finish, but what he should have done is pull this arm off. That takes away from the choke. From here, you can transfer, get the arm out, and start to defend your neck. So realistically, this is a real basic thing. I don't think anyone really does chokes like this. I know it's tough with the gloves on and all, but this is defendable. Much more defendable, something like this. This is Dun City. Right here, Sergio could have pulled his arm off and stripped it off. It would have opened up some space, turned his head, and maybe spun out to the guard, depending on what the situation was. So that was the first fight that we're going to talk about. So, the next fight we have is Elkins versus Stevens with, I believe there's 3 guillotine attempts that failed, and all for the same reason. So when Elkins is going for that guillotine on Stevens, he fires up, guillotine nice and high. And what's happening there is a little pressure is taken off of the armpit where it needs to be pushed down, but as soon as he does it, every time, this guy's turning and they either fall to the floor, I'm not going to knock it down, but that's his way out. He turns his face with it, which is a smart defense. Okay, so after the first time that this happens and it goes wrong and he spins out, whether it was on the floor or standing, that's when Elkins should have realized, and maybe woulda, coulda, should have done something like so. Came up and immediately transferred to what looks like a rear naked choke, but on the opposite end. So coming up, and right as he's turning, he can stay on it. So if he is able to roll, which he wouldn't be able to because the elbow pressure would come down, the arm pressure would come down, elbows together, a little freedom rock in there, and there's a tap. Okay, it prevents the guy from rolling out. So if you feel it's wrong the first time, you got to change it up. Usually this guillotine would work fine, just push it through and send it, but Jeremy Stevens kept turning over. So after the second time, maybe try to change what you're doing. And that was the second fight. So the next fight we're going to talk about is the Rhodes versus Sullivan fight, where there was a gnarly leg lock going on there. It looked really bad for a second for Sullivan. So what happens here is Rhodes has everything set in play. He has the feet under. This is basically in jiu-jitsu, reaping the leg. Anyway, he has everything locked up. He's going for this heel hook, and he's actually pulling back, and he's turning a lot. And what happens here is when Sullivan's leg is straight, okay, that lets rotation come from the hip all the way down. So when he's turning and turning and turning, the leg can keep turning. It'll go so far, sometimes it'll hurt it. I wouldn't recommend letting this happen. So the trick here is to stop this whole hip rotation and heel rotation at the same time, is to bring this heel towards the butt. So instead of him focusing on turning and turning, he could have focused on that, but after bringing the leg back. So if this heel goes towards the butt, you can even grab the toes. Look, you can grab the toes right here, push it in, and then turn. The hip can't rotate. It just goes in here, through here, up to the knee. He's in here with the heel on nice and tight. Pull the blade into the Achilles and then turn. That's also going to get it. And that is another episode of Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. Thanks for watching. I wore these socks because I knew they would upset some of you and you'd make comments below if it's on YouTube. So if I upset you by wearing these socks, I won.